welcome back to the channel. This is Jorge Santiago from JBR Fishing. I'm here again, bringing you some interesting topic that I've been following. This is a theory that Seth Burrell came up with many years ago. Actually, Brandon Palaniuk follows this theory as well. I heard about it, I want to say about 3-4 years ago, and I ran into this by accident, and I said, let's give it a try. And so far, it's been a theory that has been proven true and true over and over again. And if you want to catch big fish, this is the way to go. Okay. So this is a theory of, it's called the percentage triangle. This is something that's is a theory that, of course, is by Seth Burrow. He's up there he's up somewhere in the north. He's close to, I think he lives close to Brandon Palaniuk's area up there, and by Idaho somewhere. And the thing is that if you want to catch big fish, like many of us do. We all want to catch big fish, and now that the season is coming in, a lot of places the water has bottomed out. The water temperature has bottomed out. It's turned over, so now some temperatures are starting to come back up again. Unfortunately, here in Texas, no, it has not. I don't think it has bottomed out yet. It should be bottoming out pretty soon. I was fishing not too long ago in Stillhouse Hollow Lake, the reservoir over there, and the temperature was still 70 degrees. That was early January, and it has not bottomed out. But once it starts bottom out, the theory is that if you want to catch big fish, especially during the spawn, pre-spawn, you have to start looking at the fish as the big fish, the larger variety of the species that you're trying to catch. Let's put it that way, okay? Because all the fish follow pretty much the same migration pattern. And they all react in similar fashion, whether it's walleye, smallmouth, largemouth, pike, salmon. They all react in the similar way. Now you have to start thinking in a whole different perspective when it comes to the big fish. Big fish, you have to start looking at them as cold water animals. Okay. Yes, I know the hot water. Yes, I got you. I understand. It's a different theory. Yes, it's throwing you off a little loop, and I understand that. But look at it this way. For example, a person, male, female, just a person, 6 feet tall, 150 pounds, 225 pounds. Who's going to retain heat more? Obviously, the bigger person. Now, the bigger person, because it's now translate that to the bigger fish. Now, the deeper the water, the colder the water. The shallower the water, if the sun hits it, the warmer it gets. Now, a large fish is going to feel warmer. Let's say that it wants to keep the core temperature hypothetically at 65 degrees, 70 degree core temperature. The smaller fish might have to go shallower sooner than the larger fish. It might have to go out to the deeper later than the bigger fish, simply because the core, it has to maintain a core temperature. So the larger fish will come into the shallows later because it feels comfortable at 15-20 feet deep, because it still keeps the core temperature at the temperature that it wants to. It is safer over there. But meanwhile, you want to catch the big fish, then you're gonna have to go find them out in deeper waters. Yes, you could catch them in shallow water as well at this time of year, the beginning of January, maybe early February. There's always a few rebels that will come up to the shallow water, but there's a reason for that as well. Okay, so what I want to bring out is that if you gotta look at the bigger fish, the larger variety of that species. You gotta look at it. You gotta deem them as cold water fish. The bigger fish likes cooler water because they don't need to come to the shallow waters to warm up. They're bigger. They're more insulated. They could retain heat a little bit longer. Of course, the percentage triangle is an area that is a place where the percentage area is a lot higher for you to catch big fish. Okay, and this is a fishing pattern that you might have to, that you want to put into practice. That way you could catch bigger fish. Okay, or like all of us, we all want to catch bigger fish. Yes, we catch 1 pounders, 2 pounders. But if you want to increase your chances of catching that 6, 7, 8 pounder, maybe a 10 pounder, Texas have the Share Lunker program. You want to catch that 10, 12, 13 pound, then this is a pattern that you might want to adopt, and I'm pretty sure it'll help you. It helped me, and every year, it's been I've been hammering them. Okay. Now keep in mind, the bigger the spawning area, of course, the more powerful it is. The bigger the flat, the more powerful it is. Okay. So pretty much in all the fish, like I mentioned before, follow the same pattern. They all follow the same pattern. They all follow bait fish. They all follow spawning areas. Okay. They all follow points, and they all do react in a similar way. Okay. And of course, these southerly winds, this is the reason why many people catch large fish in the early January, early February, mid January, in the shallows. And I'm going to explain that in a few minutes. Okay. Now, the reason for that is, okay, right now it's cold. It's cold in many places. If you're up north, it's frozen. But if you're over here in the south, give me a second. If you're over here in the south, then the deeper waters, the colder area. Back down here, see this point? There's a triangle. So you got to think of the fish right now. They work. They don't work. They react in a pattern. The pattern that they adopted right now with this cold weather. Cold weather is that I call it the elevator pattern. They go up and down. The vertical. They go up and down, up and down. So with that said, it's easier for them to go from 13, 15 feet to 5 or 6 feet, just going straight up and down. That's a lot easier. So that brings them right over here, somewhere in this area. I mean, I don't know exactly where they are, but if they're at 22 feet or 15 feet, then they're gonna go from here to here. This is a 200-foot span. They're gonna go from here to here. Maybe it's 50 feet, and they're up in 14 feet of water. Okay. This is pretty much a drop off, 35 feet to 20 feet. Less than 100 feet, they're already up there. Okay, so up and down. But if they want to go from 22 feet to 12 feet all the way over here, you're looking at a good kilometer. So it's a lot easier for them to go up and down and get into shallow water and escape right there and feel safe again. And they'll suspend out here. They'll chase bait fish and everything. If they need to warm up for whatever reason, it's a lot easier for them to go straight up and down, hit some warm water and come back and go right back down again. It's a lot easier for them. Now, keep in mind that for all this to happen, you have to have cover. You have cover, either grass, rocks, anything. You have to have cover. They're not just gonna go up there and swim in the flats, just bare flat, just sand. Or there has to be something there for them to feel protected. So once the spawn hits, they're gonna move either from the deep to the shallow, and they're gonna follow the contour lines. If they feel comfortable at 14 feet deep, because that's where the core temperature feels comfortable at, that's where they feel comfortable with that temperature, then they'll follow more or less that same depth, 14 feet all the way around until the water warms, or, either cools or warms up, or they find a place to spawn, and they'll just follow that line, that contour line, all the around, all the way through. And when it comes to the contour lines, you got to look at that as an invisible highway. Yeah, but you have to associate it also with the water temperature. Okay, if they feel comfortable at 14 feet deep, because their core temperature is, they feel at 68 degrees, and that's what they want. More at that depth, it'll feel at 68. If it's cloudy outside and a little windy, that core temperature might feel at 68 at 10 feet deep, and they'll hang out the 10-foot contour line, and they'll follow that pattern. And as that water warms up and cools off, they'll follow in. When they're ready to spawn, they're gonna transverse excuse me, either from a dock to grass, gravel, rocks, little by little, all the way until they reach the spawning area, a big large flat, whether it's 10 feet, 8 feet, 3 feet. They're gonna feel wherever it feels secure. They're not just gonna go out there and we all call them dumb fish, but they're not dumb. Big females have survived. They didn't get to 8, 10 pounds just because they woke up yesterday. Okay, they're old. They've been around for 5, 6, 7, 8 years. So they didn't grow big. They weren't born big. It took them a long time to get that big. Okay, same thing here. Right now, with the with this weather that we're having, especially here in the south. Last time I went fishing, they were somewhere on here, anywhere between 23 and 15 feet. This was early January. So they haven't set up, they haven't staged up yet, but they will stage up soon. As soon as that water temperature bottoms out, as soon as it bottoms out and it starts climbing back up again, they're gonna start staging up and they're gonna start looking for the flats. As soon as they start staging into the flats, of course they're gonna start falling. They have to have cover. They're just not gonna go out into the open over here where there's nothing. They're gonna follow wherever there's cover. They're gonna protect themselves here, and they're gonna spawn by these rocks, by this grass, by these spawning areas. They're just not gonna spawn out here in the open. They're gonna need something for cover where they could feel safe. Because this is Belton Lake. Okay, this is a deep lake. It's a highland reservoir. It's very steep. This is a big flat. Okay, big flat. This is on the south side of Belton Lake and the main lake. Okay, so right here, I don't have no triangles here, but it's pretty easy to see. This is the river channel right here. You see it right around there. Okay, so these fish are gonna be where it's more vertical. They could get up and down a lot easier right here, close to the river edge. Right here, they could go up and down. And they could just travel. Okay, right around here, close to the edge, right here, close to the edge in this area here. That's where they're gonna be at. Once they start moving around, once the water gets warm, they're ready to come in. They might come in through a more flatter trajectory through here, little by little. Who knows? You know, they're strange in that way. Or they just might go straight up and then they'll stage up here, and little by little they'll just move to another. This is probably a foundation, a piece of foundation here, or they'll move from foundation to foundation and just find their way all the way up until they make their ways up to this big large flat up here. And see, I got a waypoint there. And they'll spawn up here. Okay. This is a quick recap of what I mentioned before, because I don't have no cover over here. Now you say that many people say, well, I've caught fish. Yes, I've caught big fish. I've caught 5-6 pounders in a foot or two of water, probably sometimes even inches of water. Okay, and I'm gonna explain that to you real quick. See if this makes sense to you. It didn't make sense to me before, but I started putting two and two together after I seen Mr. Verrill's video, and it just lit up a light bulb, and I went with that, and believe me, it made a whole lot of sense. This is a north bank. Imagine this is a north bank. You get a southerly wind. Southerly wind is gonna blow in. It's gonna blow in. Oops. It's gonna blow in. Maybe back here. It's gonna blow in, and that southerly wind is gonna heat up the top surface of the water. As it hits the bottom here, the edge, that water is gonna like roll over. It's gonna turn over. It's gonna turn over. It's gonna turn over. So as the more that gets pushed in, the more warm water gets pushed into the cove, it's gonna turn over and it's gonna start filling in warmer water. So in a few hours, maybe in half a day, warmer water, it starts blowing in. You probably have a couple of feet here, and in 4 or 5 hours, you might have warm water all the way up to 5 feet deep. And that 5 feet deep will come all the way around here. One of a fish might come in through here and just swim right along here. Just come right along this contour line. As if he feels comfortable, get snagged by one of us. Okay, and that's simple as that. And that's the reason why I believe that we catch them in very shallow water sometimes when it's real cold outside, because we get a southerly wind and it heats up the surface of the water and it turns over. And as it turns over, it fills up an empty space and it just warms up water up to a couple of feet deep, and it fools the fish. They get confused and they just move in. And that's one of the reasons that I believe that we catch them in late winter, just before the spring, just before the pre-spawn comes in, before they even stage up and start thinking about spawning. Because they're getting ready to spawn. They're feeding up. They're getting nice and fat, ready for the spawn. Because this is another lake. I want to say, oh gosh, I don't remember what lake is this. I wish I remember. Okay. Anyway, so right now the fish are here. We might be fishing back here somewhere, waiting for them. And yes, we might catch one or two. We might catch little ones. but the big ones are not here yet. Keep that in mind. They're not here yet. They're still out here. The big ones are out here. You might snag a big one down here one day, but they're not there yet. And once you find them, depending on where you find them, that's the pattern that you gotta find them. That's the pattern that you gotta follow in order to find them in every triangle. Because not every triangle is created equal. Okay, they all come different shapes and sizes. They come different areas. Okay, so if the water temperature warms up a little bit and they're right here, then you gotta keep in mind. Okay, they're at this, and then you might get them over here. 11 feet deep, 20 feet deep, you might get them over here. So this is almost at the tip. This is almost at halfway down. Over here, you might get them right back here. See, they're out here. They're out here. They're out here right now. Once that temperature bottoms out, that's when they start moving in. They start looking for cover. They want from one spot to the other. It's just like military soldiers. They go from one bush to the other. They start sneaking in, looking for spots they feel comfortable until they're ready and they spawn. They start making nests. Same thing. They find a spot here, a spot there. And they move little by little until the water temperature gets stable enough, and that's when it's time for them to spawn. Once the water temperature is stable enough that it reaches that 55 to 65 temperature, and the water is at a level that it's supposed to be, because right now many reservoirs are low. Okay, so many reservoirs, these docks over here, they might be almost with no water. Who knows? Okay, so once that water comes back up again and they feel comfortable, and we don't get a cold freeze like last year, then they will be moving back and forth, finding a spot until they get them, until we could catch them. Okay, same thing on this point over here. This is a big flat over here. It comes all the way around. There's all shallow areas. good fishing spots. But right now, this is where they're at. Right here. Maybe deeper. Maybe back here. And if you have forward-facing sonar, then it'll be a lot easier for you to catch them, because you could come over here, hit the 20 or the 25, 30 foot contour line, and just pan out. And if you see them, now you know where they're at. Now you know exactly where they're at. And that's the pattern. Good lures that you could use for that. Jerk baits, for one. I consider a jerk bait a all season, all year round lure. Many people say, "Oh, that's for early winter, late fall." All year round. Fish suspend all year round. Okay, they don't hang out. Once the spring, once they spawn, once the female spawn from here, guess what? They're the first ones out. Guess who stays behind? Fry guards. And that's it. The males come right back out again. Guess where they hang out? Either you could drop shot down here, or they could suspend down here. It all depends where and what's the water temperature, what's their core body temperature at. That's where they're going to feel comfortable at. Okay? That's where they're going to be at. Back here somewhere. Over here somewhere. Close to the water, inside the river creek. Back here somewhere. Keep that in mind. Okay. This is a lake here in Texas. I've never been to it. This is a water discharge over here on this side. So they're going to be here. All these building foundations. These are all building foundations. All these red dots, building foundations. I'm sure that if you have Navionics, you know what they are. Okay. So like back here, there's all shallow water spawning areas. Once they start finding their way through, they're going to start looking for right here. They probably move to that, and they'll spawn. They will spawn in all these building foundations. You're going to find fish all around those building foundations, all over there. You will find them. You just got to find the right time of day. You just got to come here, start at the beginning, and start looking for them. Cast. One day you might find them here, depending on the water temperature, the weather, cloudy, not cloudy, sunny, where the wind is blowing. If it's northerly, then you're not going to catch them over here. Most likely, well, you might. But it's a southerly wind, you're gonna catch them over here for sure on this side, all over. But you gotta fish the pattern. Follow the triangle, and you will catch them. Once you find that pattern, where in that triangle they're at, you can repeat that over and over throughout the whole lake, on that side of the lake, and you will be successful. Believe me, you will be very successful. Okay, so like I said before, this is a theory that Seth Bureau came up with. Um, I looked them up. I ran into him by accident. I heard about it. I Googled it. I found it. I'm a firm believer in it. I subscribe to his theory. It has helped me. I have caught big fish. I have caught a lot of little fish, of course, but I've managed to get my fair share of big fish following this theory. This is a theory that Brandon Palaniuk follows too. I still believe that he still follows it. I think he gave a big briefing on this as well. This information that's going to help you, it helped me, and I'm for sure it's going to help you. If it helped me, it's going to help you. Share this information with a friend. Give us a like. Give us a share. Subscribe to the channel. That way you can continue getting all this good information for you. And until the next video,